Today we're going to do a whole brisket. I've always cooked a whole brisket because one, I like to cut that point off to make burnt ends. You want to make sure before you even start cutting or anything, get your meat to room temperature. So many people throw their meat on right out of the refrigerator or right out of the cooler, and all you're doing is delaying your cook time. So with the brisket, we're first going to trim it. The first thing I look for is this, I call it the heel, okay? It's just a hard piece of fat, does no good. It doesn't need to be there. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut that heel out. You just kind of start here at the top and work your way down. Kind of get as close to the meat as you can. Yeah, now I've taken all that gray meat out of it. Just a thin slice is all you need so you get to the red meat. Okay, this is looking pretty good right now. I'll leave a little bit of this, but okay, now we're gonna flip it and we're gonna see the good fat. Like the bad witch and the good witch, this is the good fat and the bad fat. That's a Kansas boy talking. Now this is the fat you want to leave. Now it still needs a little bit of trimming. You'll see right here I've got a kind of a little flap of fat, and just kind of take that off. See, it's just rubbery. It's more like membrane than it is fat. As you can see, we've trimmed quite a bit of this meat out. This was just a little flap that was hanging on there, butcher's mistake. Doesn't hurt to shape it just a little bit. Just take some of the edges off like we did before. See, there's a lot of fat there, just a little bit of good red meat. And I think we're ready for the next step. But my philosophy is you can always trim fat after you cook too. There, that gives you an idea of the amount of meat and fat, not so much meat, but fat that I cut away from this brisket. We've trimmed the fat. Now we're gonna inject it. As I said earlier, a brisket can have a tendency to dry out. So like the chicken that I did in a previous episode, we're gonna inject this brisket. Now in this case, I do make my own injection. It's 4 cups of water, 5 to 6 beef bouillon cubes, and 5 tablespoons of teriyaki. You boil it, get the cubes melted down obviously, and there you go. It's teriyaki is a great marinade and spice. Now I do say this, when you're injecting a brisket, I recommend putting your hand over it, because unlike a chicken, there are little veins or grains, I should say, and the injection can come squirting out of those. Now here, again, like the chicken I showed you, you want to try to use one hole as much as you can. It's not as easy as in a chicken, but do your best. There's nothing better that a woman likes than a man who cooks. Just keep that in mind, all right? Okay, now that we're done injecting it, now we're going to put some of my beef rub on it. By the way, here in the very near future, I have a pork, a rib, and a beef rub, and we're going to be packaging those soon, and they'll be available not only on the website, but hopefully in a store near you, especially in the Kansas City area. I always like to rub the bottom side first. And I use my hand. A lot of guys use shakers, and that's fine. I guess I'm a little impatient, and I feel like I can get a pretty good even spread of it by just doing this. And notice I lifted this flap here, and I'm getting the rub inside there too. Anytime you've got a flap or a crevice, go ahead and sprinkle it with rub. And there you go. You got a great looking brisket. That baby's ready for the grill. Come on. Now here's this brisket. Again, always fat side up when you cook a brisket. Look at that. Boy, that rub really juiced it up. All right, there's that brisket. Get a temp here. I've been temping it, so I know it's really close. And you want to make sure you get it into the meat of and down as far as you can into the center of the meat. And yeah, we're right at 165. Can't beat that. It looks great, got a nice color. By pulling it and wrapping it, it'll stay this color. Now with a brisket this big, we're going to have to double it up. So put that about halfway across the bottom one, so it's a little wider. Move this baby right here. Probably going to have to put a double wrap on this one. Like I said, it's an unusually big brisket. All right. Now we're going to put this back on. You want to make sure when you put it in here, you leave it fat side up. All right. All right, gang. I think we cooked a very nice brisket today. You saw us prep it. You saw us temp it. You saw us wrap it. That's a big brisket. Don't forget on that brisket, I pointed out earlier, there's a point on there that you trim off. It looks like a cap. It's kind of the bump at the end of the brisket. That's called a point. Cut that off, and then that's what you've got. Now you've got a flat, as your brisket would be considered a flat at that point. But that point is what you use to make burnt ends. For those of you that are not Kansas Cityans or have never had burnt ends, you just cube. First of all, throw that point back on the smoker for a little while. Get it nice and cooked, and then pull it, and then cut it into cubes. That's a burnt end. Great on sandwiches, great just to eat, dip in some barbecue sauce. So I hope you have great luck with your brisket. I hope you learned some things from us today on how to cook a brisket. And David, here's to our brisket. And burnt ends.